Get it up, get it praise. Until my spirit burned out. When I heard that quiet under every crowded thought, a steady little heartbeat that the hustle never bored. I'm not the headline, not the fastest reply, not the sharpest edge in the neon sky. When the mind gets loud and I lose my way, something soft in me still lose my man. Slow down, let it feel the hush inside your hand. Not a go, not a tear, just the love that holds a red. I'm the sky behind the star. I'm the lightning biggest star. Let the mind unlet rain. I'm the only constant stay. I'm the light to prove the light. I'm the crack of busy light. I'm the sky behind the star. I'm the sky behind the star. Sky behind the star.
What's good, family? Welcome back to another Too Much to Talk About with myself, Tarun Haridas, and today we are in Making Champions mode, and I want to start with something that could change the way you move in your life forever. You are not intelligence. You are not your grades. You are not your quick thinking, your vocabulary, your high IQ moments. Neither are you the days when you feel sluggish, down, off, worthless, or any of these things. You are consciousness, the presence that makes intelligence possible. Big difference. Intelligence is something you use, you train, you build, you nurture. Consciousness is what you are. And when you stop trying to prove how smart you are, you start learning faster, leading better, and recovering quicker, because you are no longer trapped in performance mode. You are in awareness mode. You are rooted in awareness. Now, before we get into it, hit the like and subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you stay updated with all the series that are coming up. And also make sure you join the Making Champions list. The link is in the description below, because when you sign up, you get exclusive champion information. You get a free consultation one-on-one with anything that you need help on to help structure pillars to overcome your issues. You get a WhatsApp support group that you can enter and join. You get practical tools that you can use immediately. You get first notice of champion sessions and events with offers that are aligned with where you are. So let's take a deep breath and let's talk about what it really means to become a champion when you remember you are consciousness first. This is what's most important. This series is actually a follow-up series on the mindset of the Making Champions, and a very important installation. You are not your intelligence. You are consciousness that nurtures it. So with that being said, let's dive straight into the presentation. And here we go. Let's begin. You are not your intelligence. You are consciousness that nurtures it. Masterclass session. And we're looking at the idea of champions don't think better. They witness better and then choose. And in witnessing better, you have a wider range of choices to think from. So we're going to look at that specifically as to what that looks like. So by the end of today's session, what we will be able to build is a completely new identity for ourselves based on witness consciousness over I am my intellect. It's going to be a big different one and enjoying being that, dare I say. Second, we're going to look at a Vedantic operating model of the mind, intellect, ego, memory, and the seer beyond them. We're going to look at neurobiological triggers and as to what leads to stress and why stress steals your steering wheel. We're going to look at language, internal language, and mind mapping tools, simple tools that delete programs that don't work and how to install ones that do. And finally, a daily champion protocol you can run anywhere and at any time. It's going to be an exciting session. I've been looking forward to this one. So let's dive into it. So the first thing that we have to look at when we're examining this process is asking ourselves, do we use intelligence as a tool, or are we stuck thinking that we are the tool? And there are particular ways to depict this, and we can finalize this arrow angle by asking ourselves a few ruthless questions. And the questions are, when I'm wrong, do I shrink or do I learn? When I'm wrong, am I embarrassed or am I excited? When I'm triggered, do I react or do I respond or do I witness? When I'm triggered, do I get overheated and defensive? Or do I recognize that I am triggered and deal with that trigger before I create a response towards the outside world that may not be befitting towards growth or a positive outcome? When I win, do I grow or do I get addicted to identity, fame, or so forth? Or do I build on that growth? Do I understand what made me win, and do I build on those components and making sure that I don't do what's going to make me fail again? And finally, who am I without my labels? How much worth do I give myself when it may be seemingly apparent that nobody in the world rates me? Who am I without labels? And these are high significant indicators as to where you are in terms of, are you using your intelligence as a tool, or is it using you? So let's dive in deeper into this, because this is where it all starts to look, where we have to understand the microcosmic and the macrocosmic aspects of what's going on. So the Vedantic map says that you are the seer, not the seen, not the scene, neither the scenery. Now, when the word seer is used in modern day language or in the Western world, it's either related to some form of crystal ball gazing or fortune telling or prophesying or clairvoyant attributes or depicting or looking into the future or the past. These things are completely perverted from the truth and the aspect of what the seer is. For instance, that crystal ball is you. That crystal ball is everything about you. Do you have the ability to observe everything about you and know that it's not actually you? This is the big question. Do you have that ability to observe and interject with things that are not about you and correct them and bring them into an order that you are happy with that resonance about you, that it aligns with the higher aspect of the higher mind. This is what a seer is. So, to understand the seer and not the seen is to shift attention from what appears in experience to one to whom experience appears. Think about that. The seer is the one that is observing the seen. So it's a shift of attention from what appears in experience to the one to whom experience appears. This seen, in other words, what is within the crystal ball, includes everything you can notice through the senses, the five senses: taste, smell, touch, ears, hearing, sensations in the body, emotions, thoughts, memories, role plays, successes, failures, and even states like peace and restlessness, because all of these arise, change, and pass. So in their arising, changing, altering, and passing, they're obviously not a stable concept of an identity. They are something that you observe arising, you observe changing, and you observe passing within your own quote unquote nature of being. Very deep. Let's look into that even deeper. So when we ask ourselves, who are we? Who are you? The issue is when we're resonating from the core and there's no interest in what we are at the core, the first things that we are anchored to in NLP is known as a baseline state. What are we used to doing? What is the program running that we normally wake up and feel? What is the first anchor of being in terms of an expression that is anchored to an emotion and a feeling? Now, those things, again, cannot depict absolutely and holistically who you are. You have some people that are neutral, that will drift in and out of feelings and expressions all day long. So trying to label yourself from a characteristic or an emotion or a feeling, they're all temporary. They don't hang around for long. Even more oxymoronical. Let's say, for instance, you are caught up in a space of anger and you are constantly expressing anger. And I come to you and I ask you, what type of person are you? You say, I'm a loving person. I'm very sentimental. I'm very passionate. I'm very affectionate. But I'm always angry because I'm irritated. I'm enraged. I'm frustrated. So these things are only expressing states, but not an absolute. We got caught up so much in the states, we forgot about what the absolute is. Before we fear, before we love, before we get angry, before we get sad, before we find joy, what is the state of the absolute? What is the state of the core? Because that's where the true signature of who we are lies. And ultimately, this is when it's expressed as understanding. We are consciousness. We are the thing that gives life to everything. We are the energy that gives resonance so everything can respond and come to life and observe. Give life to the eyes. The eyes see, but with the eyes don't see, but without the eyes are made to see, but without consciousness, it won't function. You bring functionality to the eyes will see. It's like I was on the computer the other day. I'm doing a lot of work. I'm rendering files on a video program. I'm updating the website. I'm doing emails. I've got loads of tabs open. And bang, there's a power cut. Shoo, everything's gone. In a split second, computer dead. Lights gone. And all that information that I was working on has now just disappeared off the screen. Now, the electricity that was providing energy to the computer so it can plug up and do all of these multitasking things wasn't aware that it was powering the computer. It was just present. The computer wasn't aware of the electricity. It wasn't aware that the electricity could be shut off. Let's put it like that. It was taking it for granted that power is there. The power unit on the back of the computer is not saying, okay, we're going to run out of electricity. Let me hold some in the surcharge. The surcharge does that. But the computer itself is like, okay, I'm taking it for granted that there's electricity there. So while the electricity is on, the memory can work, everything can work. The RAM, the CPU, the whole system can now function. So on the reset, the whole computer's turned back on, completely forgot itself. It didn't even realize it was off, but it's come back on, back in the space of reset. Little bit like a reincarnation moment, or a bit like waking up out of a dream, until the operating system boots back in. This will be understood in Sanskrit or in Vedanta as sanskars, the operational memory. Upload. Okay, where I am, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm a computer. Oh yes. You open back the browser, there's a thing in the cache that says restore the pages. It was held in a cache memory. Oh yeah, now I'm aware I can access that cache memory and open back the pages and refresh myself as to what I was doing. Oh yes. I'm out of the slumber, I can remember. Oh yes, that's what I was doing. Now, again, it's turned on, completely disregarding to the electricity and cracking on with its own business. With all the tabs and all of this and that. This is what we are verily like. This is what humans are like when they are living from a very sort of there's a word, and I think the way I would best describe it, because the mind has two natures about it. You have the higher mind, which is associated to the first aspect of consciousness being present. Then you have the lower mind, which is more instinctive and impulsive by nature, because it's set to follow the impulse of the five senses. It's always consistently grabbing information from the five senses. It's always summarizing through the intellect and through the reasoning faculty. Now, if the intellect is poor, if the intellect is completely, again, higher intellect, lower intellect, higher mind, lower mind. If there is no enriching of the higher intellect, which is associated with discrimination, with intuition, with insight, hindsight, and foresight, completely egoless, only objective towards the truth, whereas the lower aspect of the intellect, which is working with the vibration of the mind, wants to express itself as a performance and defensive. In this space, you are not operating from a championship level. You are not operating from a conscious or a conscientious level. You are just using the electricity to do your show. Now, the problem is when it comes to human life, as much as the consciousness is providing the electricity, the big difference between the electricity that is powering the computer and powering you is that it's actually aware. It's the thing that brings awareness to the program. It brings awareness and ability for the mind to operate. It brings awareness and ability for the senses to work. Again, without consciousness bringing the idea of pure awareness to it, then it won't be able to function. And it's through over time, the corrupt idea of this information programming, data gathering, where the mind starts to subjugate experiences, ideas of self-worth, and corrupt the intelligence to follow it based on its assumptions. Now you start to drift from the truth, because these assumptions are based on the quality of the desires that are given it. So you sacrifice truths for biasness. So let's dive down deep into that road and see what that actually looks like in real life. So the first sense of I am in Vedanta is known as ahamkara and Buddhi. The first sense of I am. And this is developed first from Atman, the pure consciousness, the pure electricity, the pure unconditioned aspect. There's no love or hate or biasness towards anything, because it understands what everything is. And that pureness of consciousness is full of bliss, truth, and existence, resonating that it's blissful to be existing. It's true that I am existing, and my existence is truth and full of bliss. This is consciousness, that three-pointed aspect that's always spinning around. Yeah, that's the stamp of consciousness. Now, from this pure, unchanging point of view, that resonates as, if you want to call it, pure electricity. When it comes into the concept of the jiva soul and identification and the sense of the body, it's like when you turn on, for instance, you have electricity, the electricity powers up a phone. The phone turns up, it goes, oh, I'm a mobile phone. You plug it into a computer. Oh, I'm a computer. You plug it into a TV. Oh, I'm a TV. It doesn't, the electricity is still electricity, but it's bringing power to all of these operating systems for things to function. Similarly, Atman, whether we're male or female, young, old, this, that, the other, is giving us the ability to function. And in the ability to function, the first thing that is developed is that there is a sense of knowing of this functionality. It's called life. There's a sense of knowing that you are alive. There's a sense of knowing that you exist. And there's truth in the sense of there's nothing wrong with it, that the fact that you exist is true. And the truth of the matter is that's a good thing. That's a beautiful thing that you exist. This is all consciousness knows. It's true. It's beautiful. Outside of any experience that you've had, it's a beautiful thing that I exist. And it's true. So from here, that sense of being resonates to a concept of discrimination or discriminative faculty, the ability to observe this about you, to observe this about life. This is known as Buddhi. This is the Buddhi, pure Buddhi. The fact that you can discriminate and know that I am here, I am there, I exist. That's the Buddhi doing that. Like when you was a baby to now, there's something about you that's not changed at all through your existence. It's what you change roles, it's what you change age, it's what you change emotions, it's what you change situations and circumstances. But there's something about you at the core that has not changed. And if you focus on it, you know it's right there. This is the essence of that Buddhi, the essence of the knowing, pure and innocently knowing. From that stage becomes what crystallizes is the ahamkara, the ego maker, the thing that says now, okay, now I exist. Now I can say that I am. Now that I have this knowing of my existence, I can now say that I am. This is how the ego is formed. Now, a lot of people would say that the ego is a terrible thing. No, it depends on the information that the ego is acting from. If the ego is acting from Atma, Buddhi, ahamvriti, that ahamvriti becomes aham brahmasmi. I am consciousness. I am pure essence. But no, we're now led to believe I am the mind. I am my intelligence. I am the information that I know or don't know. I am my body. I am happy. I am sad. I am all these other things. But I am outside of, I am pure consciousness, observing all of these changes that I'm going through. Big difference. So when you're saying, I am vritti of Buddhi, I am essence, this is now really you focusing on the truth of who you are, what you are. The ahamkara is I am this, I am that. It appropriates identities with what's known in Sanskrit as sanskars, habits, behaviors, things that's been accumulated through the three modes of nature: goodness, passion, ignorance. So the qualities of this Buddhi, the discriminative faculty, is the thing that makes the subtle higher mind come to life, in the ability to discriminate, discern, and clarify with insight, hindsight, and foresight, the ability to guide and decide with proper judgment. And this is known as bodhikattvam buddhi, the faculty of knowing and using this faculty properly. Also, the quality of this discriminative faculty is that it reflects consciousness, it reflects awareness. Yeah, it reflects awarenesses on the sense. Chitta bhasa. This is now the flow of memory, the flow of consciousness now doing what it does. It's gathering information, it's working, it's flowing, it's creating a sense of being. Chitta bhasa. So this is like Sat Chit Anand. Ananda is the bliss. So when Bodha, get this right. When bodhikattvam buddhi is established and chitta bhasa is established, then this grounds all other mental functions. It grounds the mind. It grounds the intellect. It grounds the reasoning faculty. It grounds the distortion of the background noise and pollution. And it rejoices and relishes on focusing on Atman, on true self, on the resonance of what true internal praying, love, bliss, peace is. And in this space, the more that you get the taste for that, you fall in love with the idea of distinguishing truth from falses and wisdom from folly. So its nature is to discriminate. It's discriminating, discerning the truth among mixed signals. It's illuminating in terms of highlighting, reveals and clarifies what is known. It's resolute. It determines the correct course of action without ego, without inference. And the problem is, it's the inference of the mind and everything else that is chucked in. Now, how is this discriminative faculty nurtured? It's through what we observe. It's through what we take in. It's through what we learn, whether we choose to learn it or not. And this Buddhi is getting enriched, especially the lower aspect of the Buddhi, the lower aspect of, and when I say lower aspects, the mind, your conscious awareness, only has the ability to operate from 24 bits of information per second. So that's the mind, your reasoning faculty, and your access to your intelligence. Now, your higher intelligence, if that's not enriched with an aspect of knowledge, if it's filled up with social media posts and noise pollution and gossip and so forth, that's the richness of your operating system. That's the richness of your discriminative faculty. That's the richness of how you've been unconsciously using your learner autonomy. So outside of you choosing to use it or not use it, there's a thing on autopilot which highlights again how you use it, or whether it's using you. So we're going to go for a little live experiment to bring this real to the moment. And what I want you all to do is have a look at this meal and imagine that this meal, I've just prepared it just for you. And I want you to get real with the idea of eating that meal right now. Taste what you can taste. Those creamy avocados with those crushed ground pepper, a little bit of sea salt, that hummus with a little bit of paprika on it. Oh, lovely. I keep forgetting the name of that cheese. The halloumi cheese. Oh, some people love those strips of halloumi. Then you got the falafels. Oh, bit of taste and dip that in. That could be a little mint yogurt in the middle there. Oh, lovely. Roasted carrots. Now the lemons at the back. Take a bite of those lemons. Take a good old, see if you can drain out all that lemon. Just bite into it in your mind, suck it. Suck out that lemon juice. Just feel the zing of it on your teeth as you're doing it. Just get really into it. And then see if you can wash off that zing on your teeth now with some carrot juice. Drink some carrot juice down. And if you can, sometimes it's so overbearing, the idea of lemon on your teeth, you can feel your nerves going, yo, you can feel it frying. Okay, imagine that you have cleared that plate, even down to the baby spinach. Ah, I absolutely love baby spinach. Little tomato salad there, lovely, mixed with quinoa and corn and a little bit of, oh, delicious. Imagine you've eaten the whole lot. Lick your lips. Wash it down with some water if you got some. If you can get rid of that lemon feeling off of your teeth. Have a couple of nuts. Now, what just happened there? What actually just happened? in that mental experiment of actually clearing that food. And we're looking at the plate and think, okay, the picture's still there. I just went for a mental exercise of clearing the plate, and my teeth are kind of zinging. What happened? Well, you activated your 5 energetic sheaths, your sense of being, consciousness of who you are that resonates from the bliss, from the truth, from the existence, representing itself in that bliss sheath that first steps into space of inquiry, sends the ability to be aware through the mental sheath, through the process of vitality, the air path, and food. I put two sheaths for food there. One is literally what you physically eat and so forth, because you get high stimulation through what you actually take in. And then the other one is through what you take in through the mind, the ears, consciously or unconsciously. All of these things are affecting the gross body and slowly programming or bringing information to the subtle body, to the mental sheath, which is then programming and creating responses. So you could have been eating, looking at the food, and your mouth could have been salivating a little bit. You're going, oh, that's nice. Oh, I could have some of that. And as you're doing that, you can feel the sensations of your body actually moving like he wants to eat the food, even though it's a picture. Now, the intellectual sheath, depending on how strong that desire became, was either lapping up the food or going, oh, it's just a picture. Whether you was having that conversation, oh, it's just a picture. It's not going to get me salivating. It's not going to be. It's not going to affect my teeth when I bite into the lemon. I'm not going to imagine it affecting my teeth. Now, this is the difference between, are you being pulled by what's happening in the environment, that you actually now believe that you are a product of the environment, consciously choosing it or not? Or are you this steady point of bliss that is aware and can observe everything in the environment? And even though the body and the mind is being stimulated, you can still look back and go, okay, the body is stimulating, everything is being stimulated, it's all working. But I know that this is all an illusion. This is just the body following the signals. And this is ultimately, is this what I want it to do? Do I want it to follow those signals? Or do I want it to do something else? Do I want mind to do something else? Do I want reasoning faculty to contemplate something else? Do I want what I consider as intelligence in this moment to contemplate on something else? So this is taking control from the higher self. This is exactly what it looks like. So diving deeper into it, the reasoning, the instrument of Buddhi, which is known as the tarka or vikara, the reasoning, the inquiry. So first of all, you have the ability to observe, to know, to actually realize that existence is true. And from this point, the next thing is curiosity. What is this all about? And this is where reasoning comes. So this ability to discriminate focuses on something and now starts to inquire about that very thing. And in this process of inquiry, Buddhi is now giving inquiry the ability to inquire life. Now, the problem is, when you start to inquire, you start to believe that you are what you are inquiring. not realizing that you're the one that's giving life to the thing to make it inquire. Very deep. Because this is where the first, what is my stage of inquiry about? And this process of inquiry is where what you would consider now intellect or intelligence to be nurtured. Because Buddhi, the all knowing, is giving you the ability to know. Isn't that strange? Isn't that deep? Pure consciousness is now giving you the ability for your limited consciousness to expand and bringing it into alignment to what it already knows. It's just that you are figuring it out through your reason and inquiry, through your process of observation. So the Buddhi serves truth, not protecting ego, a faculty of logical observation, deduction, and inference, useful for accurate discernment and decision making. The reasoning faculty is about inquiry, directly affected by intelligence level. The sharpness and balance of reasoning depends on the clarity, focus, and intelligence of Buddhi. So that clarity, focus, and intelligence of Buddhi is done in the background, in the nurturing, in the learning, in the process of building the strength or use of your learner autonomy, the consistent learning, the consistent reading, putting it all into the subconscious, just putting it there, just putting it there. Positive, accurate, appropriate information that when it's time to act on it, it comes there, it's there. It gets downloaded to the operative intellect in the moment. If you don't put it in, there's nothing to recall. If you don't put it in, the poor reasoning faculty is now starved of proper information, has to now work out what to do next. And because of that lack of information, it now depends on the mind to make up what is lacking in the unknown. And in asking the mind, now it's going to be working on what it feels and make it what is felt as true. So I feel fearful becomes I am fearful. When there's nothing truth about fear in the signature of the truth of what you are from a Atmanic point of view, from a pure consciousness point of view, doesn't know about fear. That's not in the script, but it's in the program now because you've allowed a feeling to resonate as your identity. I am angry. I am happy. And so forth and so forth. Whereas anchoring, when they say water the root and the branches will take care of itself, a powerful affirmation or a powerful mantra, aham brahmasmi, or I am bliss, truth, and existence. Resonating those will water every other aspect of your life to bring it into alignment with bliss, truth, and existence. But the fact that you're anchoring the I am to external experiences, then the bliss, truth, and existence takes a back seat and just observes. And because you're not interested in feeling what bliss, truth, and existence feel like, you're tied up with what the emotions and feelings feel like and putting an identity like that's your be all and end all. Begging from bliss, truth, and existence, robbing that energy to feel bad. And this is why you feel bad, because where you're drawing energy from is nowhere in correlation to the experience that you're having. So this is ultimately how you define meaning of poor intelligence. It's a misuse of the functionality. It's a misuse of the discerning faculty that you have. It's a misuse through disregard of it for a performance form of intelligence. Rather than a discriminative one, you're using a performance-based one. Because you're not enriching in the subconscious self with knowledge, it could be weed, it could be empty, it could be social media posts, it could be gossip, it could be what Trump's talking about, it could be whatever. But because you're not nurturing things for self, so self can respond instead of react, then it's bringing about low clarity in your process of needing to make a decision now, to move now, to act now, to respond now, to be your best now, because what's in the tank isn't there. You don't rise to your dreams and desires. You fall back on your beliefs and your routines and your habits. You fall back on your ability to discriminate and your clarity and your quality of inference. These are the things that support you. So you have to build these things. They don't just magically happen. You have to be conscientious now in the process of building those things, in putting in the knowledge, in rehearsing the scripts, in rewriting the biolinguic conversation, the bioneurological conversation. You now have to get involved. You now have to become aware of the whole process and go, okay, I need to change that programming because that's not right. So, meaning of poor intelligence is weak clarity and the ability of the lack of ability to discriminate. And this looks like your discriminative and decisive faculty becomes poor. ChatGTP and these tools are really not helping the situation. You ask somebody a question, say, hold on, let me ask ChatGTP. Hold on, let me ask Google. Critical thinking, gone out the window. Let me see what. With this high usage of AI, you don't realize how much of your discriminative power you are actually giving over. So that muscle of discrimination becomes useless. Weak inference. Let me check ChatGTP. You check ChatGTP, it wouldn't be so bad if you took an effort to learn what ChatGTP was telling you in that moment. But because it's so accessible, you don't have to learn it. You can ask it again tomorrow or another time. It'll change the answer, but you wouldn't even know because you're not paying attention. You're just in the moment with what it's telling you now. And that's your reference. That's what you're using for inference. That's your contemplation. And in that process, there's a high level of high distortion going on, a whole heap of noise pollution that's going on in the subconscious self. What's this? Who's that? What's this? All these social media. What do I make of self? What am I making of the actions I'm supposed to do? What's going on? All this garbage that's gone in, unfiltered, now killing the aspect of critical thinking, discriminative thinking, and the typical symptoms: binary thinking, simplistic worldview, impulsive and reactive conclusions. You're now working with the impulsive and instinctive nature of the lower mind instead of the distinctive, discriminative, insightful, foresightful, and hindsightful nature of the higher mind. Your confirmation bias select facts and attention that suits you. You're emotional led and not logic led. You're inconsistent with standards and decisions. And note this is not saying that you're unintelligent. No, that's not what is being said here. What you're saying that you're misappropriating a tool. You are not using a tool in the most efficient way. Because why? These things, when you use a tool in an efficient way, and you lose sight of what you are, whatever the vehicle is going through, whatever emotions is going through, whatever feelings is going through, you're now suffering the idea or the belief that that is you, that's your worth, that's what you've succumbed to. When you are not your experience, and neither should you take the experience as your sum total conditioning of the idea of your identity or the full makeup of the ability of your personality and characteristics to become. So this idea of I am my intelligence, or when you lack the ability to observe what intelligence is doing, caught up with what mind is doing and what reasoning is doing, this poor intelligence now builds a defense system along with the mind, making you feel like you're bigger than what you actually are. And in truth, what's burning you is this idea of poor inner state of being, and you don't want to show it to the world. You're hiding that from the world with the biggest display of ego. But the inner loop, the inner trap, the inner feedback is in a state. And that's all because you're misusing the tool. It's not because the tool doesn't work. It's because you're misguiding how the tool you're not nurturing the tool appropriately for the tool to work and operate and influence the mind and the reasoning faculty in the right way so you can get the results you want. That's all it is. So the idea when people say, boy, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, it's far from the truth. There's nothing, it's just a misuse or a misperception of how this tool actually works. And you can command it to work properly instead of hiding behind the performance of it, supported by the mind and the eye maker. This is the big difference when it says drop the ego, work from the higher intelligence. When you go to learn driving, you don't get all egoistic. Like, so man, I can't drive yet, man. I can't let people see me. It's embarrassing. I mean, some people are like that. They want to see you in the driving car. But while you're taking the driving lesson, if the instructor is telling you, no, you're doing this wrong and all of that, you don't blow up on the instructor. You listen to his advice. There's no ego. There's no this, there's no that. And you conform and you learn and you sort it out. And now you have it. You can now go, yeah, man, I can drive. But the one with poor intelligence, the one who wants to drive and putting up every obstacle in the world as to why they shouldn't be driving, that's poor intelligence. That's a poor misuse of the tool. So, I am low intelligence looks like this. Its discriminative and decisive faculty is weakened through low clarity, low discrimination, and weak inferences, coupled with and creating for itself high distortion. This poor intelligence awareness leads to it personifying an egoistic story. This personal identity filters and protects the story to stay consistent. It shrinks attention and effort, avoids knowledge gaps and challenges. Don't want to know, don't want to get to know. It just It's funny. Sometimes you could be asking people and you can see that there's a dysfunction with that aspect of them. You ask them if they want help. No, man, it's all right. I'm good. You know you want help. You know you need help. But what's going to come out of your mouth is going to be completely oxymoronical to the truth. So, again, that thing that, no, I don't want to know, and you don't want to focus, oh, this is too much. This is too much. You're misusing the tool because you're protecting a story that is not serving you. And you believe that because you're being driven into this idea of you're not smart or you're not this or you're not appropriating, you take on this challenge of holding on to selected facts that work for you in the way of validating your identity. Well, look what happened to me. What would you do if you was in my shoes? And in this way, you simplify your story and you bring down and you lower your own expectations. You lower your own outcomes, the expectations towards outcomes, coupled with avoiding reasoning and looking into deep analysis, deep analysis on the situation. You completely run past it like you don't want to know. So you leap into impulsive and defensive conclusions. And the big giveaway here is that you don't just reflect poor intelligence, but you fight and restrict pathways to enriched intelligence. So it could be right there in front of you. And I was so shocked when I learned this in NLP, how hard-headed someone can get towards wanting to adapt to a blatant truth that is right in front of them. And because they don't want to understand, they attack and tear down this knowledge. This is where they say don't cast pearls to swine, because they will literally destroy what is good for them because they're just not in the mood for it. And they will destroy you for giving it to them because they're just not in the mood for it. And this is the dangerous trap. This is a dangerous trap. So improving intelligence, it means clear reasoning and it's building the strength of the Buddhi. Again, feeding the subconscious self. This is using tarka or vikara, sound reasoning and inquiry. Poor intelligence awareness becomes a personifying ego story. You want to tip that story. You want to change it to a positive process of being within you. You want to gain clarity. You want to improve discrimination. You want to sharpen your inference, and you want to reduce noise pollution, reduce distortion. And this is through the ability of asking proper questions. And that process of asking and building and increasing clarity, it removes doubt. If you notice, most fears are based on not knowing. Most of the times when you realize or when you know, half the fear is gone. The next challenge is how to deal with what you know now. But when you don't know what's coming, this is the bigger fear. Sometimes the not knowing and the fear of not knowing is so intense that people don't even want to know now. I know there's something wrong, but I don't know. I don't want to know. I know there's something wrong, but it's got to be bad. So I just don't want to know. I'm just going to leave it. And that not leaving it builds up even more anxiety in the background, more fear, more of this energy of fight or flight within your system, more of calling on to habits that harden this way of being. So tipping that balance through knowledge, through self-inquiry, through feeding yourself, just keep putting in the knowledge, keep putting it in. This ultimately will start to challenge weak inferences and emotional projections. You start reading, you start taking in, you start chanting mantras of resonance, aham brahmasmi, I am higher than all of this. Once you start to resonate on what is true from what just feels good, even now, this is a scary bit. Because sometimes a bad feeling is what feels good because that's what you're used to doing. You're used to feeling bad. So that's good to the nervous system. You want to break that and follow what is true rather than doing what feels good. You want to do what's right. Yeah? Let me get this wording right. You want to do what is right and not what seems right. Not what looks right, but what is right. And there's a difference between that. When you learn how to do what is right for you, when you learn what to do, what is right according to your discriminative faculty, the whole process of living, the whole process of tuning into that joy, truth, existence becomes real. Rather than doing what feels good, the more that you do what feels good, even though it might be feeling good or even feeling bad, you're pulling away from the discriminative truth that you are. This is where suffering happens. This is where life hurts. This is when you're fooling yourself, and that gap of existence is the inner light. And how do you turn that back to inner truth? Detaching yourself from the eye maker and realizing the sense of the I. So it's that shift. I'm not the one with my tongue out. I'm the one that's telling me to talk my tongue out. So maybe I can tell myself to pull my tongue in. So through sound inquiry and observation, intelligence becomes sharp and balanced. And now you have control over the operating system of the human experience, including mind, including intelligence, including reasoning, including actions, including behavior, including outcomes, including interactions. So, antahkarana is understanding how the soul is situated amongst the field, its first elements that make it feel real in this realm. And that is the mind, the buddhi. Manas is the mind, buddhi is the intellect, chitta is the memory flow, and ahamkara is the eye maker. That is built from sanskars, habits. The way to break that is to work with the buddhi. The more that you, again, like I said, work along with the higher buddhi, the higher conscious self, you're putting information, you're learning, you're observing. This will change the taste and the flavor of the mind, of memory, and the eye maker. You do it through buddhi, not through mind, not through memory, and not through the eye maker. First, strengthen the buddhi. And just to give you a deeper insight of how the whole operation works, in the middle you have buddhi, intelligence, which becomes in contact with the mind and reasoning faculty, those rings. The mind is consistently on an outward search for these feelings, which are away from truth, bliss, and existence. But through these feelings that the mind is looking forward, or these emotions, primary emotions, it then, through subjugation and preference, it perceives an idea of a state of being. So in other words, if it sees love, if it sees joy and trust, it now believes it's in love. And it will have loving actions. If the mind sees trust and fear, now it believes it has to submit. If it sees fear and surprise, it will now be in awe, and so forth. Joy and optimism, joy and anticipation, that will create optimism. Anticipation and anger, that's aggression. Anger and disgust, more aggression. Disgust and more disgust, that's contempt and remorse and so forth. So the mind is consistently looking for these things and these triggers to draw yourself to a sense of being, to say that I am optimistic, I am in love, I am in a submissive state, I am disappointed, I'm remorsing right now. And these, in jumping from petal to petal, we've lost the idea of resonating that I am the one that's in bliss, observing myself jumping from pillar to pillar. And maybe if I reined it in, I can now be more selective about the pillars that I choose to appropriate my energy to, from which ones I choose not to. So it's the ability to choose how you want your mind to operate in order to find, seek, and manifest outcomes. This is deep, because at the core of this is depicting, before it reaches optimism, love, submission, or disappointment, remorse, contempt, aggression, and all of these feelings, there's an inner conversation that is going on that's pulling you towards this outcome. Is your inner conversation one of sadness? Is your inner conversation one of disgust? Is it one of fear? Is it one of joy? All of these inner conversations are setting up polarities, setups, programming your nervous system, your reticular activating system, to end up with an outcome. So if you're not in control of the program, the inner voice that is caught up in a language mode that creates a feeling, an emotion of any of these primary feelings, this is where that first initial set off towards an outcome occurs. Very deep. So understanding that you are the seer, not the seen. You are Atma, not the ego, is important, because this ability to be aware, you can instruct, you can guide from this point of awareness, you can guide, you can resonate, you can grow from this point of discrimination or discriminative ability, to tap into your ability to have insight, and foresight with what consciousness is for itself, not to your limited idea of what consciousness is, because it's got a few tricks up its sleeve to surprise you. This is where that ability of potentiality comes into play. You've got to allow potentiality to come into play by getting out of your own way. This is it. Allow the program to run efficiently. Don't fight it. Don't argue with it. Don't detest it. You have books, Bhagavad Gita, another one that would say, just the slightest breeze can pull someone off of their path of nobility, pull their senses into mayhem. They could just lose all their grace and thing just by the senses being attracted to something, and that pulls all their idea of self into a space of strong desire, that they lose their head and they're willing to sacrifice all they've become to this moment of downfall, where they got their tongue out now and they want to now grasp this experience, this moment, this thing, through lobe, greed, desire. And this yearning now lowers their whole vibration, their whole understanding of who it is. They believe they must have this, and without it, they're nothing. They're experienced, they're this, they're that. It can happen to anyone in a split second. And especially if you're not training to keep yourself out of that zone. So imagine if it's easy to be, imagine how hard it is to actually be the seer. It's not an easy task. It's not an easy task. This is where dedication comes into play. So the key moves for the champions: use your Buddhi, use your intelligence to decide, but don't become it. You're nurturing it through the consciousness, through learning. You're building that learner autonomy. Yeah, you're always becoming. You're always in the process of becoming. Never stop learning. Let manas produce thoughts. Let the mind do what it's doing. But don't obey them all the time. They're not always true. They're not always right for you. It could be just making up a scenario just to fulfill the desire that is where the senses are being agitated. I want that. I want that. So it's going to dupe you, tell you everything. That's all right. It's just a cake. Just eat it. It's all right. No one ain't watching. Don't always obey them. Don't be on like, yeah, I'm not going to eat that. I know I'm not going to supposed to eat that. Nom, 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 nom. Oh my gosh, there's only one left. I know I shouldn't eat it. No, I'm not going to nom, 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 nom. Ah, why did I do that? Don't be on that. Don't be on that. Yeah. So let chitta store memory, but don't live inside that memory. Live in the space of being. Notice the ahamkara, the ego that grabs towards credit and shoves away blame, or loves to blame. Learn how to return to the witness, steady, spacious, undefeated, learning through experience, egoless, emotionless, silently observing the inner and outer world without judgment or attachment. That's the practice. And that's how you strengthen your ability to make higher and better choices for yourself. Watch yourself, learn about yourself, implement better things for yourself. So, highlighting that on a deeper level is that the minute you think that you have to be smart is the minute you stop learning. The moment you need to be smart is the moment you start digressing, is the moment you stop getting smarter. The moment you're trying to prove, yeah, how smart I am, is the more you're cutting off the ability to learn. You're switching off autonomy mode and you're going into performance mode. The more that you're in performance mode, the less likely you're going to learn. So because you start defending your image, you won't be able to upgrade your skills. The invisible costs. Feedback becomes danger. You argue, you justify, you explain. Beginnerhood becomes shame. You avoid hard reps, you avoid embarrassment, you avoid applying yourself. Perfectionism becomes camouflage. You delay exposure. Overthinking replaces sensing. You miss timing and truth. Comparison replaces character. Your worth leaves your body. And this is just through, look at them. They're doing much better than me. Oh, uh, uh, uh. So the way out is not through willpower. It's a shift. It's a position shift internally. It's a mental, internal shift to discrimination. Calming the body first, clearing the mind of all the noise pollution, and then Buddhi can lead. What does that look like operational wise? So first of all, we have to understand that the spirit, the self, consciousness, Buddhi, always wants to rejoice. Imagine a child. Can you learn the piano? Can you play the piano? I don't know. I haven't tried yet. An adult, can you play the piano? No, it's not for me. I can't do that. No. Can you sing? No, definitely not. No way. not singing. You ask a child, can you sing? Oh, yeah. I want to sing. I just want to sing. They're off. They're going. Now, you don't sing it like that. Well, how do you do it? Oh, yeah, look. When you show them on the piano, oh, look what I can do. There's this excitement and buzz to want to engage. Whereas this hardening and defending of like, oh, now don't expose me. This is ego. This is the performer. Whereas there's a true aspect of you that wants to get into it, that wants to learn, that wants to give it a go. But the ego says, no, don't embarrass yourself, mate. Go easy. It's killing your ability to learn. And if that's in public, what are you doing to yourself? So the spirit learns and the ego performs. When the spirit is in learner mode, curiosity is fun. What is here to learn? Humble. I can be wrong safely. I've done it wrong. Let me try again. Let me have another go. Experimental, small reps, big speeches. Resilient. Failure is data. You adjust to the data. You perform better with better data. Autonomous. You build and you choose your standards. You don't have standards choose you. And you do it all in a joyful effort. And this is where practice becomes sacred. It's not that you're looking for perfection. It's that you're enjoying the process of retuning. You're enjoying the process of refinement. It's joyful. Whereas with the ego, it's defensive. Don't challenge me. It's controlling. I must look competent. Don't talk about my competency. Avoidant. If it's hard, it's not for me. I've got enough on my plate. Reactive. It's their fault. Addicted to labels. I am my rank and my role. And rigid. I already know. I know enough. I don't need to know. It's funny because I've seen it where I'm offering help to people and I can clearly see that there's some dysfunctionality going on. They're even telling me that there's dysfunctionality going on. And I'm saying, okay, would you like some help? Nah, sir, I don't need no help. I'm good. Yeah, but you said that you want to get from A to B. Yeah, I know, but blah, 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 blah. Well, do you want some help with it? Nah, it's all right. I'll sort it out. I'm good. You have to mind this defensiveness because the truth is, step back. That truth and feedback loop that's going on in the background, it's not a happy space because you've given so much credit to this smart identity. It looks smart to everybody else, but you're not feeling that it's that smart. And your idea of self-worth is now under threat. You now have this constant idea of being an imposter in your own being. And you refuse to challenge that aspect about you. So what makes it even harder is that we are consistently under attack. Our attention to give ourselves, to nurture ourselves, is consistently under attack. And these extremities, when I say extremities, they are extreme. You got notifications, social media, chat GTP, all kinds of inferences that fracture focus. Fracture focus. Most people are trying to do more multitasking things than ever before now. And with so much of a fractured focus, they don't even look at the quality of what they're doing. Then you've got comparison feeds. That brings fragility to the idea of self-worth. And it's always on the work, shallow recovery, noise and speed. That rises demand, impatience and reactivity, sleep deprivation. That brings about emotional volatility. Poor posture and breath equals anxious baseline. And what this is all doing to your neurobiological frame is this. It's stealing energy from your prefrontal cortex And in this way, it's stealing the steering wheel, your ability to plan, your ability to be flexible in the moment. It's now inhibiting all your actions and putting you into fight or flight mode. It's taken over the ability of your reticular activating system to work on your growth, on your notion of, let me take a risk and see what it comes out like. Let me give it a go. Let me take that extra step. It switched all of that off. Let me go the extra mile. It switches all of that off. It amplifies threat responses. And this is the amygdala gland now working in coordination with the ganglia and calling up habits, old habits and responses. This is firing off old habits and responses. Again, the prefrontal cortex is switched off. It shrinks your time horizon. You choose comfort over growth. You realize so much time has gone by and you ain't done nothing. It makes learning feel unsafe. And the ego defends it. And it turns the body into a constant alarm system. You're always what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's the next stimuli? So that idea of working from you are your intelligence, you are what experiences are making you out to be, you are your feelings, you are what you can intellectually summarize in this moment. Those things are actually dangerous to work from as a premise, as a consistent identity. And when they say it's mind over matter, it's not true. It's literally working with the concept of Atman and that first discriminative ability that comes into play from soul level to be able to discriminate from truth. From there, you can observe what the triggers are. You can witness the trigger. You can witness the behavior. You can breathe yourself through it. So in the witnessing of it, you can say, okay, I recognize, I can breathe myself. You can choose differently and you can act differently. As simple as that from an artmic point of view. Artman, from observing the mind. Okay, I see you playing up. As observing to the triggers of the outside world, whatever it is. You want peace, you want resonance, you want to work with the idea that your existence is worthy of recognition of bliss and truth in this moment, not what the external environment is telling you. Because when you feel in bliss and in truth, you choose and act differently. When you are in a position of sense of worthiness, you choose and act and behave differently. So, breathing yourself into that space, breathing yourself into that place where you can choose is the pathway. Breathing, believe it or not, has such a powerful influence on the brain and the ability to either ignite and bring life to new neurological pathways or destroy them. There's a correlation with the breath and the thought. So ultimately, it's this when it comes to neuroplasticity. What you rehearse, this is what you wire. Neuroplasticity in one line looks like this. Repetition plus emotion plus attention equals durable wiring. You have to give it emotion and you have to give it conscientious attention. You have to draw away from the default on purpose, deliberately. So your default is just your most rehearsed program. It's not your true identity. What you run to is just a most rehearsed program that you put so much feelings and attachment to it. But you can step back and realize these attachments and feelings and choose something different. Behaves completely different. Small daily steps beat occasional intensity. Sometimes we try so hard, whereas if it's just incremental, slowly, 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 this is now how you build up that 1.5% incremental growth of sturdiness and solidity in your notion of moving forward. So, state matters. Calm attention learns faster. This is the breathing, regulating, and bringing everything down to speed and pace. Name the pattern, you gain leverage over it. And then practice doesn't make perfect, it makes automatic. That's a big one. You're not trying to become perfect, you're trying to run in and bring in the imprint of a new behavior, a new neurological pathway that calls about actions, feelings, and insights and perceptions towards an intended outcome. Rather than a programmed outcome, you want intended outcomes. So install what it is you want to become. And this is how you, again, looking into detail, how you map the loop and then rewrite the loop. Look for the trigger. Listen to the language that is behind the trigger. Observe it. Encase it into a moment. I'll give you an exercise that I know is a very powerful exercise. Let's say you have a habit or a situation or a person or a moment that really triggers you. Bring that to life in your mind. You can see that in your mind now. And you bring all the color to it. See it actually playing out, seeing how this thing really annoys you or really gets on your nerves and so forth. Make it full of color. Bring it to life. Smell it, taste it, touch it, sense it, see it. Make all the colors bright, really colorful. Now in a snap, freeze the picture. Now in another snap, drain it to black and white. Pull all the color out of that picture, all the emotions, everything. Drain it out of the picture and look at that picture in black and white. There's no color in it now. It's just literally a black and white negative. Literally. Bring it to as close as just a sketch now. It's no longer looking like a lively picture. It's now looking like a sketch. Whatever that situation was, it's now lifeless and sketchy. Now I want you to take that picture and shrink it down to a stamp. The idea of shrinking it down to a stamp in your mind and the void of darkness around this stamp. And I want you to send the stamp far away in the back of your mind. Send it away like you're throwing the stamp away. Now, as you're doing that, feel the whole void of darkness fill and the stamp is going far, far, far. Now in that void of darkness, bring and create an experience of how it is you want to see yourself in that situation. See yourself brand new. See yourself doing something completely different. See yourself responding completely different. See yourself overcoming whatever the obstacle is. See yourself in joy. See yourself in love with you, becoming better than you were. See the growth in that moment now in your mind. Hold it. Make it live. Make motion come to it. Let movement come to it. Let sound come to it. Smell the environment. Feel the joy of the environment. Make it real in your mind. Now that one exercise, maybe the first time it tickled something. Now you keep repeating that, you keep repeating that, you keep repeating that, you keep repeating that, you keep repeating that. You're putting things into the subconscious self until one day, outside of your unknowing, you won't even plan for it. The situation will come and nothing will stop you from moving and acting differently towards the outcome. That nothing in the world, no fear, no backtrack, no inhibition, no lack of flexibility. You will move towards your intended outcome and you will break that cycle just by mentally rehearsing, shrinking the point of the sugar into a black and white picture, sending it away and replacing it with a new sense of being, a new sense of energetic being. And you hold that picture till that picture becomes alive in your nervous system. Just like when you was watching the plate of food, you're doing this totally internally, unplugged from the outside world, and you're training the subconscious self. Now, the mind is saying whatever you can and can't achieve is totally true. And right now you're telling your mind that you can achieve. And the mind will take this as positive information and start to program the neurons, the pathways, everything, that when it sees the scene, behave like that. When you see the trigger, behave like that. You won't even be able to stop yourself. So that is a very powerful insight there. The other thing that is to note is that words are powerful. You have to be very careful on your internal dialogue because your words write your nervous system. So you have to choose your code that you live in wisely. When language is unconscious, it talks of danger, it talks of threats, it talks of things to avoid, and the body mobilizes towards it. You label identity, your behavior locks in. You repeat stories and your emotions rehearse these stories. You speak in absolutes and options disappear. This is when language is unconscious. So in translation, your tongue can turn your training into a threat. You're consistently feeling threatened while you're trying to motivate yourself to do better or be better or become better. You're threatened by your own standards that you're trying to reach. So you have to be conscious, conscientious, and deliberate about the language that you're going to use, that inner dialogue. Rather than listen to it, you have to create it. You have to reframe it. And reframing means you change your emotion and you change your action. Your state and your cue. You highlight the trigger. You breathe yourself through it through posture. And this is a reliable reset. A very powerful, simple one where you can just breathe and realign the neurological system within and your nervous system to now respond to information from the discriminative self. You see, if we don't breathe ourselves back into that space, if we don't plug back into ourselves, into that space, we're going to be operating from an impulsive or an instinctive idea of self. And that's not the true self. That impulsive or that instinctive nature of the mind or self is talking about what we desire, what we are avoiding, not what we are. Precision speech. I feel fear instead of I am afraid. When you say I feel fear, you can do something about that feeling rather than saying, okay, the situation says that, demands that I must be fearful. That's not precision and that's neither accurate or true. The truth is that you feel fear. You want to be able to overcome that fear in the moment. So again, you're naming it, you're anchoring, and you're interrupting the loop. You're breaking the loop of how you feel in that moment. You recognize the trigger. It only takes 10 seconds to break and reset that rumination. So you're not just following it and falling deeper and deeper into the sense that I am that fear. No, you feel the fear and you want to eject that feeling outside of your system so now you can choose from a different space and a perspective. So you're not submitting or being submissive to something that you're fearing, even if it's your own habit, even if it's your choice. Fear missing out on. You fear missing out on something, you submit, even if it's towards your consequence. So dealing with these things are really important. They're the subtle things that really make you or break you. So preload the response, rehearse the behavior one, externalize the mind and write it down. When you write things down, you're bypassing the impulsive and instinctive mind. When you're writing past, you're writing things down, you're now into the space of discrimination. It's the discriminative self is now taking over. When you're writing things now, you can objectify the mind and say, what was I thinking? What was I doing? Is that right? Is that appropriate? Now you can now observe what it is that and instruct the mind for what it is that you want to think, feel, and bring into focus just through journaling. And just through journaling and that sense of self-reflecting, you're now regaining the witness seat. As simple as that. So realize that the stimuli in life that your mind is working out and creating these triggers, they are not verdicts. They're not be all and end alls. They're not statements for you to say or manipulate you into a space of being. You can breathe, choose, and exit. That's the repetition. Breathe, choose, exit. So, in that understanding, you can uninstall programs and you can install new ones. Number one, name the bug, identify the pattern, and identify the thought, identify the feeling in the body, identify the action, name the bug, interrupt it fast, change the physiology, breathe, exhale longer, relax the jaw. Most of the time when we're tied up in these signals or these processes that the conscious self or the environment is stimulating us to follow or manipulate us into, you'd find that your jaw is stiff, everything is tight. You're locked in. Breathe. Relax the jaw. Soften the gaze. Step back. Relax. Relax the jaw. When you deliberately relax the jaw, it sends a signal to the vagus nerve to relax. Relax. Hold on. Let's evaluate the data. So reframing means observing the data. This is training data, not a verdict. Installation, if X happens, then do Y. If this happens, then do Y. Simple. And it's a simple thing like that. Some people think, okay, if it's that simple, why not? Why not? Because you haven't done it. You haven't done it. And I will dare to say, try it, do it, test it, and use yourself as the experiment, as the laboratory, the mind, the consciousness, and the use of intellect, appropriating knowledge that is alignment with growth, with the soul, with understanding the strength of intelligence once nurtured, and how it can influence you to learn and perform at a higher stage and space and a higher resonance of being for yourself. Test it. Test it is no harm. Test it. Because the more that you practice these things, these simple things, it does become a joyful habit. It does become a joyful resonance. It does become a process of self-evolution, self-protection, self-growth, self-determination, and self-progress. And ultimately, your inner self loves your mind is going to love it. Your intelligence is going to love it. Your reasoning faculty is going to love it because you are bringing order instead of habits. You're bringing order instead of impulse. You're bringing order instead of chaos. You're bringing structure instead of hype. So, going forward, championship standards looks like this: zero tolerance for self-sabotage patterns. Not intolerance for people, intolerance for programs. So automatically we have to be looking to delete scripts in ourselves that looks like this: I'll start when I feel ready. I'm just not that kind of person. If I fail, I'm finished. They made me do it. I don't have time to recover. I need to win to be worthy. Instead, install these. I can begin even though I'm nervous. I am a learner. I will adapt. Failure is feedback. I iterate. I own my responses. Recovery is training. Worth is inherent. Winning is expression. Worth, understanding the idea of worth is a deep one. Even the idea of self-worth is so corrupt and off because our idea of self-worth is always built on what other people has given us as guidance to what they think of us, what societal pressures believe. Now, what is the worth, the intrinsic value of life itself? When you see a brand new baby, it hasn't done anything. It hasn't made no great achievement. It hasn't contributed anything. But the idea that that baby, oh my gosh, we must protect the baby, da 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 da, all the rest of it. Oh, what a beautiful baby! It can't even speak yet. But the value of the baby is so high, and you dispositioned yourself that because of your experience, because of your age, because of your this, because of your that, maybe you're not as worthy as the baby. How ridiculous! How ridiculous! Life itself is worthy of understanding that worth is priceless. Before you even make an act, we're so tied up in human doing, we lost the vision and understanding of human being or life and the value of that within itself. There's no price to that. There's no price to that. So in that sense, regardless of your experiences, regardless of what you think of yourself, as life, what would I say? Life doesn't give life on a worthless point of view. It's for a reason. It's for a valid reason. You might not see the worth in it, but it's life. So the fact that you have the conscious ability to recognize that you have life, bringing it all the way back to that Atmic conversation, the first ability to sense that you can discriminate that you have life. That's priceless, regardless of what age. That's priceless. Can a tree do that? We don't know, but you can. And that's priceless. So a quick 3-minute champion reset that we can do at any time and any place, anywhere. And we'll do it now quickly just to bring you through it. This will take 3 minutes to do this live. I want you to sit down, put your feet on the floor, nice and grounded, spine tall, and again, your jaw unclenched. Just relax, nice and tall. And we're going to breathe in. We're going to do this 6 times. We're going to breathe in on the count of 4. We're going to hold for 2 and we're going to exhale for the count of 6. And this resets the whole entire nervous system and recalibrates the idea of consciousness now being in contact with intelligence, reasoning faculty, and mind, so it can control and instruct it to how to do, how to respond, how to move, and so forth. So let's do this and feel what that feeling feels like. So let's begin. We're going to breathe in for the count of 4. Breathe in. Hold. And exhale. Nice and easy over 6 seconds. And breathe in. Hold. And exhale. 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 Final one. Breathe in. Hold. And exhale. Good. Now that inner state that you've just created, you can sense a sense of calm within you. There's a sense of space that's been created in your inner space, a clear space of communication. It's almost like the silence is saying, what now? Now this is where your discriminative self can come forward. This is where you now can come in and observe what you're going through, what situation you're going through, what you can choose towards how you want to respond in that scenario towards an outcome that you want. So you can use this before pressure, you can use it during pressure, or you can use it after pressure. Very powerful, very simple, very quick. Hit that reset button so you can now make much more healthier choices. The reason why it works, slow breathing reliably increases vagality mediation between the brain, your nerves, the whole support system, so there's autonomic regulation to your whole system. So in final, we're going to look at our daily practice. In Sanskrit, this word is known as sadhana, your daily practice. 7 minutes, that's all it takes. And I've broken it down as an acronym, so each letter has a task, an insight. So the first one is to see, and the first one is not just to see and look around the room, but see, be the seer. Spend 30 seconds just observing self, just checking in and seeing how self does this, how self feels, how self thinks, how self observes. Observe how you observe data. You can go deeper into this where you may go out one day and just observe everything that the eyes see without judgment. Just see and notice the ability to observe with the eyes. The next day you'll do that with the ears. The next day you do that with the nose. And you're doing this with no judgment. You're just sharpening the ability of observation and so forth. And then taste, and then the tactile skin, touch. You're doing all of these things without judgment and just reporting back, realizing and say, today I am just fine tuning my observation skills so that I can now treat this process of just data rather than reacting to it. I want to respond to it. And it first starts with first training yourself to observe you, spending 30 seconds a day observing, being aware that you have to observe your mind. You have to observe your behavior. You have to observe your thoughts. You have to observe your speech. You have to observe your goals, your insights, your notions, your restlessness, your pattern, you have to observe it. And in this way, pulling back and observing it, you can now correct it and fine tune it. The next one is downshift, the 6 slow breaths and exhaling longer. Do this daily and you will start to feel that consciousness shift where it slowly starts to prefer being in that space of discrimination rather than impulse. You're going to feel a preference, a shift happening over 14 to 21 days. You'll feel that shift that I prefer to be here than there. I prefer to be here doing this than there doing that. And then H, honesty. Name one pattern to delete, find the trigger, rewrite the script, act differently, breathe into it, act to it, breathe, anchor it with the breath, choose differently, act differently. Action, pick one tiny rep that moves the needle. So again, with the honesty, you're going to choose an act that's going to move the needle, move your perception of how you deal with this, how you appropriate yourself in this scenario, how you can change and influence how you move in an environment. So journaling, one lesson, self-study. And again, when you're writing things down, you are hijacking the impulsive and instinctive mind, and you're working with the insightful, high insightful, and discriminative aspect of the higher mind and the higher intelligence. And finally, adjust. Write one. If this, then that. That one action of writing it all down, being conscientious and acting it out on one thing is going to change many things on how you do things. And that's where you're going to realize the strength of nurturing this intelligence towards a greater sense of resilience and a greater sense of being, a more purpose-led process of living. So, we have come to the end, and the next episode is going to be You Are Not Your Mind, You Are the One Who Can Train It. We've just looked at how we can train the intelligence. And next we're going to be looking at how we train the mind. Very deep, very powerful. Again, your assignment for the day, name one program that keeps you small. Write that replacement script, one sentence, attach it to a breath, and start that reset program. Run it for 14 days, and you're going to prove how repetition has the power to overcome. And in this way, you'll be installing the first principle of how you can train your mind. And we're going to be looking at that deeper on our next masterclass. Thank you all for coming along to this. Hit that like and subscribe button for more information and more insights on Making Champions. And don't forget to sign up for the Making Champions list. And I'm going to leave it right there. Stay bold, stay beautiful, stay on the best side of being you. Ashe. Namaste.
You're the praise. Chasing good enough until my spirit burned out. When I heard that quiet under every crowded thought, a steady little heartbeat that the hustle never bored. I'm not the headline, not the fastest reply, not the sharpest edge in the neon sky. When the mind gets loud and I lose my way, something soft in me still blows my man. Slow down, let it land, feel the hush. just the love that holds on red. I'm the sky behind the star. I'm the lightning big star. There's no mind unless pain. I'm the only price to stay. I'm the light to prove a lie. I'm the breath of dizzy light. I'm the sky behind the star. I'm the sky behind the star. Sky behind the star. Used to wear my pleather like a coat in the cold.